You're listening to the Save the Date podcast, where we talk all things weddings, jewellery and romance. With love from Cullen Jewellery.
Hello and welcome back to the Save the Date podcast. I'm Sheridan.
And I'm Juliette, and we are so happy you're here.
So we have a bit of a different episode for you this week. So on Friday, a couple of days ago, we actually asked you guys what questions you have for us, whether it is about wedding planning, about Juliette and I, or about wedding bands, because as you know, we are brought to you by Cullen Jewellery, and we, especially Juliette, knows a lot about rings
That I
and
do.
wedding bands. So we're probably going to hear a lot from Juliette in this episode and learn all about rings and all of that fun stuff. But let's get straight into this episode and see what you guys want to hear from us.
Let's go.
Okay, so the first question that we got is for Juliette, because obviously I'm already married, but Juliette is not.
I'm single, just putting it out there.
Anyone listening?
If you have a friend, let me know.
You start ticking off your list. This height, this.
I do have a list.
She does have a list. It's pretty extensive, but in a good way.
Not shallow, I promise.
No, definitely not. It is
An extensive list.
an extensive list of
It's fine.
what a girl wants
That's
in
right.
a relationship. So,
Okay, yes.
so this first one, Juliette, what is your dream proposal?
Okay. I feel like I am a kind of extravagant kind of gal.
Okay.
So I do like the idea of really glamorizing it. I think still private. I don't think I'd want people watching, because I just feel like for me personally, I would want that moment to be between me and my partner. But flowers, candles, little big, sign thing, will you marry me?
Okay.
I'd
Like
be
a
down for all
rooftop.
that. Yeah, rooftop on the beach, something really
love
romantic
that.
and cute. But with saying that, at the same time, if it was way more toned back than that, I wouldn't be mad.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't also say no to a big extravagant,
So are you thinking this future boyfriend will hire a proposal planner?
Yes.
Okay.
If that's possible. If possible, yes.
Add that onto the list.
Add that on the list.
That's so funny because, I'm the total opposite.
Yeah.
Probably before we started talking about getting married and all of that stuff, in my head I'm big proposal,
Yeah.
the big sign, take me to a rooftop and pop a bottle of champagne and everything. And then after we fully got together and it was getting serious, and I was I don't care about that. Please don't do that.
Yeah. It's, because at the end of the
But I
day,
do
it's
love
about
it.
the moment. And so I wouldn't actually care that much if it was way more low key. But, just in general,
Yeah.
we're thinking dreams. Dream big.
And then the next one that there was is any proposal icks.
Oh.
I have one.
Oh, okay. You go first. I'll think.
And it's to do with the way that the person kneels down.
Oh, wait. Okay. I think I saw someone talk about this.
I've seen some people do a double kneel
Oh, yes.
and they're kneeling on both knees.
Yeah.
No,
We're not begging.
no, we're definitely not begging.
Yeah.
And the knee has to be at a 90-degree angle.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I would have to agree with that.
And not an awkward hunched over crouch.
Yes. Back up straight.
Back straight. Confident. Yeah.
Will you marry me? Yes. Okay. I would agree with both of those.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can really think of anything else that comes to mind.
Yeah.
Other than a really big extravagant in the middle of heaps of people.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want it to be in front of a whole heap of people, including my family.
I wouldn't have either.
Yeah.
Didn't want that.
Yeah. I don't know if that's necessarily an ick though. It's just, or it's just not my preference.
Yeah. I think another one for me that is an ick, and we did that horror story about it.
Oh, yeah.
Is not considering any of your partner's
Yes.
wants or
Yeah.
and considering anything that they've said throughout the whole relationship and just deciding that you're gonna do whatever you want. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's yucky.
Yeah. And also, I would also extend that to the ring as well.
Yeah.
Mainly for myself because of my job. Like, I understand, I don't know, maybe it's always different with different couples where, like, maybe you haven't spoken about the ring as much, so your partner doesn't know maybe as well potentially what you want or whatnot. But considering my job, I would hope my partner knows exactly what I want. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Specifically metal colour.
Oh, that's a big one.
I would hope
feel
they
like-
would know I'm a yellow gold gal.
Surely. Juliette never wears anything that's
Other
not
than
yellow
yellow
gold.
gold, yep.
Like, I've never seen her touch anything that's like not yellow gold unless it's for a photo.
And if you were, and if you were to look on our Instagram, you may find I'm slightly biased to yellow gold. I apologize. I try my best to make it even split between platinum and yellow. But yes. Oops.
Exposing yourself.
I mean, I'm honest.
Yeah.
I'll admit I do favour yellow gold.
Yeah.
But accidentally. Okay, so here's a question for Sheridan now. Would there be anything you'd change about your wedding if you could go back and do it again?
Ooh. Yes. The main things, though, it's nothing like about the wedding itself, but looking back at my photos, I hate the way I had my hair and makeup.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Was
it out, your hair?
I had my hair out, but like it was a very like 2022, 2023 style with like the Hollywood waves and then like the front tucked.
Oh, yes,
and like kind of
that's
slick.
right. Yes.
And I never wear my hair like slick ever. And it just like wasn't me.
Yeah.
But I was like, I loved it at the time and like thought it looked really good. But looking at the photos, I'm like, it just doesn't feel like me, like and authentic to like who I am. But my thinking was that a lot of the time when I have like my hair out, I tuck it behind my ears. And I was like, I don't want to have to worry about tucking my hair behind my ears on the wedding day. But I'm now looking back, I'm like, I should have just
had it out
and worn it in a style that like I would have done for myself, like going out somewhere, just so that it felt like a bit more natural.
Yeah. And almost timeless to yourself.
Yeah, rather than like going with the trend.
Yeah.
And then the second one was the way I had my makeup. It was more so the colors of like my eyeshadow. So when I do my own makeup and like do my eyeshadow, I use really warm tones, like coppers and like orangey colors. And I just feel like that brings out the green in my eyes and makes my eyes look more hazel than brown. But when I suggested that to my makeup artist, and like there's nothing against my makeup artist, like she was making a suggestion that made a lot of sense because I wasn't fake tanning. She was like, it might just look funny if you have those coppery tones. It might like look like your eyes are red. And so she suggested more like cool toned and champagnes. So I did that. And then again, it's just like
not you,
not quite me.
Yeah.
And like my makeup looked amazing. Like there was nothing wrong with my makeup at all. It's just like, not.
Yeah. What you typically
not
go.
what I would
and
typically
like, I feel
go
like,
for.
especially when it comes to makeup and hair, there is this element of you knowing yourself the best. And in situations like that, it is sometimes better to go with your gut.
Yeah.
And what you know. And then, I mean, unless it's something a little more significant where it's like you're trusting the professional opinion. But
that would be, I think, the only thing that I would change is just like the way I did my hair and makeup because it wasn't like authentically me and that like should be who you're showing up as on your wedding day.
Yeah. And like I would actually say I've had that similar experience with makeup artists, just like not obviously for my wedding, but like when I've had like other events like my 21st and that where I've had my makeup done, the way they do my eyeliner, I have never once liked the way a makeup artist have done my eyeliner because I know how to do it on myself, or I know what kind of style suits me with eyeliner without closing off my eye. But I feel like makeup artists, the ones that have done my makeup, always just do the full line across my eyelid and then the flick.
Yeah.
Whereas my eyes look better with just the line going halfway across my eye.
Oh, like starting like
halfway.
Yeah.
And that keeps my eye way more open and makes it look way bigger than the whole line across. And little things like that. It's like, don't be afraid to speak up if you know something doesn't work on your face. So,
Yeah.
Kind of a good tip.
It is definitely.
What would you?
Yeah.
Answering that question
it is a good
with
tip,
a tip.
though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Kids at weddings.
No.
No?
The only kids I would allow at my wedding are the kids of my sisters or my partner's siblings, whoever they may be.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I guess I agree. We had kids at our wedding.
Yeah.
But we only had like our close family at our wedding. And so the kids that were there were our nieces and nephews.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess like similar kind of
Same
thing. I
thing,
wouldn't
yeah.
have wanted like random
Kids.
random kids at the wedding day. But I don't know. I think it depends on your family though.
Yeah. I
Because like I'm so close with our nieces and nephews that I couldn't have imagined not having them there.
agree. Yeah.
But then other people are like, no, absolutely not. Like we don't want kids there, blah, blah, blah. But
Yeah. It's very personal
it's
preference.
so personal, yeah. And also just like how you want the day to be as well. Because if you're wanting, like we did, like a real family event, then it made sense for us to include the kids. But if you're wanting like more of a party vibe where like everyone can kind of let loose and not have to think about anything, then it makes so much more sense to not have kids there. Because it's like, there can be a lot.
Yes. Yeah, see, that's the other thing. It's like, that's why I think I'm okay with having like just the kids of my siblings, because I know there won't be that many. Whereas if you start extending it, that's when you can get quite a few more kids. And that's where like what worries me about having kids might come into play, where it's like they're making noise during like the key moments where like maybe you're saying your vows or cutting the cake, all that kind of stuff like that. They're the moments where I'm like, I don't want kids making noise or running around in the back of photos and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So like if there's only like a handful, that's fine, because I don't think it would be an issue. But it's more so having like extended children
and
is
like,
where it's like you don't know their kids as well as
you don't know how they're going to act in that situation.
Whereas you'd have a pretty good gauge of like your nieces or nephews, how they act in those situations. But if you're inviting friends, family friends or whatever, you may not know how their kids are. Okay, do you think the bridal party should pay for their own things, or should it be paid for by the couple?
I think it kind of depends as well on how much you're expecting them to like pay for. I just like couldn't expect somebody to fork out so much money for like a dress, hair and makeup, accessories, like I don't know what else, all of this other stuff for them to be like part of my wedding. Like it's something that I'm asking you to do.
Yes.
You're not like saying I want to do all this stuff for you, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Especially also like bridesmaids would typically plan your hen's party. And I think traditionally they would pay for it. Like you're not paying for your hen's party. So like that's another expense that then they're also expected to take on.
Yes.
And like I'm thinking of myself, but like I'm the one getting married. That shouldn't then like make you have to fork out money. I agree.
Opinion. That's my kind of thinking as well.
Yeah.
And like, because I don't plan on having that many bridesmaids. Like I'm just doing my two sisters. Like we've already decided that, and maybe an extra one friend. So that's only 3 bridesmaids for myself. But like, I wouldn't really expect them to be paying. I would budget for the amount I could afford. Because I wouldn't want them taking on the burden of paying for a dress and their own makeup and stuff. Because like you were kind of saying, I don't think it's very fair to just expect them to be paying for all of that stuff when you have asked them to be a part of your wedding. Because sometimes like people, it's not in their budget to be paying for it, but like at the same time, they don't want to say no to being a part of your wedding if you've asked them, because you've obviously asked them for a reason, because you're quite close. And yeah, you don't want them feeling awkward or pressured to look a certain way or buy a certain dress if that's what you want, but then that's not in their budget.
Yeah, I think also the other factor to consider is like, if you are picking your bridesmaids' dresses and you're saying you have to have your hair and makeup a certain way, like, I don't think your bridesmaid should have to pay for that, because it's not their choice what they're getting done. Whereas if you're saying like, here's a color palette, or like pick a pastel color or something like that, and then they get to go and choose their own dress, I can kind of see why then it makes sense for them to pay for it themselves, because then they can kind of shop within their budget as well. Like, some people might want to buy a $500 dress, and then some people will be able to find something that they really like that matches your theme for $50. So I think that plays into it as well. Like, how much control you want to have over what they are wearing and look like on the day.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. Okay, the next question for you, Juliette, being the maid of honour.
Yes.
For your sister, what has been the most important thing like for you so far?
Honestly, I haven't really had a proper chance, I don't think, to really do anything major.
Yeah.
Just because her wedding is still about a year away. So like, one of, I guess, the main things that I'll have to plan is the hens party. So we haven't really started doing that yet. But yeah, I mean, up until this point, it's just, we've gone wedding dress shopping, but I mean, that wasn't just me. I have another sister as well.
Yeah.
So it was the two of us plus my mum. We all went. But yeah, I guess, just seeing if there's any support or anything you can take off their plate is always really helpful, I guess, to them. But yeah, I haven't really fully dived into full-on Maid of Honour planning stuff yet. Not yet. Yeah, but I feel like one of the more important things that I'm looking forward to is the speech and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Or writing the speech. So yeah, we'll see how that goes.
They can get like emotional, I feel
yes.
like.
Oh, I'm so going to cry.
Yeah.
I need to like train myself. I want to kind of write it early enough that I can say it really, or know it really well. So hopefully all the emotions gone by the actual day.
You're just
I already know
to everything you said.
I already know it's going to come.
That's so funny. Have you guys done like your bridesmaids' dresses yet? Or
no, not yet. So we've locked in her dress. She found her dress, which is really
exciting.
Nice. But yeah, no, we haven't started looking for our bridesmaid dresses yet, just because I think we're going to go something not as traditional in the sense that, like, I don't think we'll do that kind of, it's very common to have that kind of satin look, which I don't think we want to do that style.
Okay.
So I think we're going to probably start looking around even probably the start of next year to try and find something, because fashion trends change quite a lot. I feel like with the bridesmaid dresses, that's where you can be a little bit more on trend with the fashion at the time.
Yeah, and you have more leeway. Like, generally a bridesmaid's dress isn't getting made.
Yes.
Like, you don't need 6 to 8 months or whatever.
Yeah. So I think we'll just kind of wait and see maybe early next year and try and find something. So and it makes it really easy because it's the two bridesmaids are just myself and my younger sister, so, and we're pretty much the same size in dress, so I think that makes it also a little easier that we're not we don't need to find two different dresses to match our body shape or whatnot. It's basically just two of the same dresses, find something we both like, which our style, we tend to like the same things.
That's good, because that's the other tricky thing, like if there's just the two of you, it's like
I feel like we'd agree on something pretty easily. So
that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, any tips for planning a destination wedding?
Oh, okay. So yes, that's the other thing. My sister is getting married in Italy. And from what I can hear her talking about it, it's, you have to have a lot of patience.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you have to have a lot of patience anyway, planning a wedding, but this seems to be like another level of patience, in particular because you are dealing with the cultural differences of planning or talking to wedding planners overseas. So yeah, you're dealing with the venues and the people that they're like little event planners, like a few of them or most of them that she's spoken to, they'll have an in-house event or wedding event planner or organizer person
that's good.
with the venue. But yeah, so like coordinating with them and just getting past the language barrier and yeah, just the cultural difference where like she's finding them to be almost quite blunt, but they're not trying to be blunt. I think it's just because they've got basic English and it's just, you know, that communication.
Yeah.
Or like, yeah, it's just she has to really try and get information out of them. Again, I think it's more just a cultural or language barrier thing rather than them being rude or anything. I don't think they're trying to be rude. But yeah, little things like that where that's where it's very important to allow plenty of extra time to plan a destination wedding, because you're dealing with that stuff that, you know, what normally could be said in maybe 2 or 3 emails takes more like 6 to 7 emails.
Oh my goodness.
And yeah, so
that's tricky.
Keep that in mind, I suppose.
If I was going to plan a destination wedding, I would 100% be getting a wedding planner.
Yes. Yeah.
Because like, yeah, because of that, at least if you have a wedding planner, like you're just talking to one person and then they are able to communicate with everybody else and then just like filter that back to you as you need it. Where I couldn't imagine like
typically they have their like go-tos for a DJ, music, flowers, all that kind of stuff, which can be really helpful because sometimes you can feel like you don't even know where to start with a destination wedding.
It can be hard enough. Like I found it hard to find those kinds of things for our wedding that was like just an hour away. Because you don't know like where to start for those things. You kind of know people who are local to where you are, but if your wedding is further away, like how do you find them?
So
it's really tricky.
Wedding planner, big help, and plenty of extra time, more than you think you need to just organize everything and allow for that language barrier of communication or just cultural difference communication wise.
The other thing I would say is make sure that you like get married in your own country as well.
Oh yes.
Because if you only get married in like Italy, I'm pretty sure your marriage is only then legal in Italy. Yeah. Right?
Or it's like I'm not too sure.
I know that there's something else, at least in Australia, that you have to do. Because I know people that like will get married in Vegas. But then like they still have to get married back in Australia.
Because, I'm not sure if it's just considered, like, because technically what my sister is doing, they are getting married here first. And then that ceremony overseas is almost just like a commitment ceremony, basically. So it's, there's no legal element. So that wouldn't even be married in Italy either. So I don't know if that's how most people approach a destination wedding, where it's more just a, you know, you're saying your vows or something in front of everyone and it's a commitment sort of thing. Or if there are people sign stuff overseas as well. But
I'm not too sure.
That's a good one to keep in mind. All right. Can you wear your engagement and wedding rings on different hands?
Yeah, 100%. Yes. There's like no rules for how you even have to wear either of them. Like if you really wanted to, you could wear like your engagement ring on your middle finger. And like your wedding ring on the pointer finger of the other hand.
It's really all comes down to personal preference. I mean, yes, the tradition is to wear, at least in Australia actually, because sometimes, I mean, I feel like it is traditionally always the fourth finger, but like in different cultures, some do it on the left hand, some do it on the right hand. But if you wanted, one ring on each finger, it's really all personal preference. At the end of the day, those rings are a symbol of love to you, so it doesn't really matter where you're wearing them. I know even a lot of people who wear it around their neck because they've got hands-on jobs and they can't have their rings on for most of the day, so they put it on a necklace. You can really, it's personal preference.
Even like if we're getting really like personal preference, you don't even have to do rings. Like you could do a necklace. Just in general, or like earrings or something. I'm sure there's plenty of people that don't wear rings, don't like rings. And if that is the case for you, just because it's, I guess, tradition to wear a wedding ring, it doesn't mean that like that is 100% what you have to do.
Thoughts on different metal types for you and your husband's wedding bands?
Oh, fine. Mine and my husband's are different metal types. I have yellow gold for my engagement and wedding ring, and my husband didn't like yellow gold, so he got platinum.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely like nothing wrong with that at all. I guess like in photos, potentially if you had the same metal type, then it would look more, I guess, cohesive. But even then, like mixed metals looks really cool too. So
yeah,
personal preference.
For what you want. Because and sometimes like different metal colors suit people differently, or like that's just your preferred color of jewelry. Like I feel like most people have a preference when it comes to what jewelry color they typically wear.
Yeah.
So there's no issue with having different. I don't think at all. It doesn't have to be the same. It can be different. You can even get two-tone rings for both men and women rings if they wanted both metals in there. So, again, another personal preference thing.
Yeah.
All right. When is it too soon before the wedding to book appointments for wedding rings?
Oh, that's a good one.
So how maybe far in advance should you book an appointment potentially?
Yeah.
Is that
the earlier the better.
Yeah.
Like I would probably book your first appointment maybe like 6 months even.
Yeah.
I think that's around. We did a like wedding planning timeline, and I can't remember exactly, but I think it was like 5 or 6 months is like I would say when you should book your first appointment.
Yeah, I agree.
Because most wedding bands are custom made.
Yes, made to order.
Made to order,
like your engagement ring.
Yeah.
So, and for us personally at Cullen, that takes, I believe, about 8 weeks. So, you just want to keep that in mind, that making up the ring, you need to allow for that time as well. You don't want to be cutting it too close. Even like if it's due 2 weeks before your wedding, I would even say like that's cutting it a bit close more so, because in case you need to factor in shipping time, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, do it as early as possible just so you have it.
And then you don't have to be like stressing about it.
Yes.
Like the last thing that you want to be doing in that kind of month or couple of weeks before the wedding is like having another thing to stress about.
Yes.
Being like your wedding bands haven't
arrived. They're not ready yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, when should you start booking things for your wedding?
Oh, that's a good one.
We did a whole episode on this, actually.
We did do a whole 2-part episode, so we can link that in the show notes. But for your, I guess, like, I think it's top 5 vendors. So your venue, your celebrant, your photographer, videographer, and I feel like there's another big vendor. I can't remember. At least those 4.
Yeah.
The very least those 4, you want to be booking them like at least 12 to 18 months out from the wedding. If you are planning a wedding in a shorter amount of time than that, obviously like
adjust
that. But at the very least those ones you want to book them in almost like as soon as you start wedding planning and start thinking about the wedding. They're the ones that you want to get ticked off because they'll get booked up very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, this one's probably a good one for you. So, how is planning an elopement or micro wedding different to a traditional wedding?
Oh, that is a good question. They are slightly different, but honestly, I wouldn't say that like necessarily they're going to be worlds apart, because at the end of the day, you're still planning a wedding and you still have like certain things that need to be ticked off.
Yes.
The difference obviously is that like an elopement or a micro wedding is on a much smaller scale.
But for the most part, you may want to still incorporate all the different elements.
Yeah.
They're just on a smaller scale.
Yeah. So like if you're still wanting to go like kind of all out and be really extravagant with your decorations and your florals and all of that sort of thing for a micro wedding, then that process is going to be the same as if you are planning all of those things for a wedding with, 200 plus people. So yeah, it's just all of the same things, but on a smaller scale for like a micro wedding. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So during the wedding ceremony, in which order do you put on engagement and wedding rings?
Ooh.
Okay, so with this, it's actually quite common to not wear your engagement ring at all on the day, or wear it on the other hand. So during the actual ceremony, you're just putting on the wedding ring. And that kind of, I guess, that's like sealing in, quote, the wedding or the marriage. And then you can just put your engagement ring on top afterwards, after the ceremony's done. Again, as always, it does actually come down to personal preference. You can put your engagement ring straight back on after you put the wedding band on. It is typically you put the wedding band on first. But I mean, again, I suppose you could keep your engagement ring on and just put the wedding ring on top of it for the ceremony. But yeah, again, it's really personal preference. There's no really laws or rules around it.
That's another thing actually that I did. So I had my engagement ring off and I was wearing it on my right hand, and then had the wedding ring put on first. But that's another thing that I probably, like, in hindsight, wish I'd just not worn it not worn it on the day, and just had like my mum or someone hold on to it, because all of like our photos, this also just has to do with the side that like I was standing on, but all of our photos where you can see my hands, you can see, because I like wear another ring on the like that same finger on my right hand, so you can see that like my rings look so awkward on that hand. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, it didn't bother me on the day. It's only looking back at photos that I'm like, oh damn it, like I wish I'd either just taken it off or just worn it on my left hand and then like flipped them over after the ceremony was done. But personal preference.
Okay. How to decide between a destination wedding or keeping it local? Struggling. All right. I mean, it's kind of a hard one to answer because there's so much, the element of personal preference is so, prevalent. But I guess things to keep in mind, or that may influence your decision, is having a destination wedding. You're always going to have less people who can make it, because not everyone's going to be in the position to travel for that wedding. So are you happy to sacrifice those guests? I mean, that sounds harsh, but that's the reality. Not everyone will end up making it, including a lot of the time grandparents. That's a big one. Because sometimes if they're quite elderly, they just can't travel, especially if it's on the other side of the globe where you're going. Another thing is, it's going to be a lot more pressure on you with the planning process. Again, just because you're working with people or talking to people overseas, there's a barrier of communication with languages sometimes, and just general, like I was saying earlier, cultural differences where the whole process just takes longer. So if you're prepared for that, again, it's just something you have to decide whether you're okay with doing that. But I would say they're probably the two biggest things. In terms money-wise, I don't think they'd end up being a whole lot different, just because like doing it overseas, less people end up coming. So like it may be technically more expensive, but because you've got less guests coming, it kind of evens out compared to over here or locally, where it may be slightly cheaper overall, or you'd be able to find cheaper vendors and stuff, but you may have more guests who end up coming, so it balances
out. That's a
out.
good point, actually, because I had always sort of just kind of thought, a destination wedding would end up being so much more expensive because you have to pay for that, like flights or accommodation, all of that sort of thing. But when you put it that way, if you're having like 50% of your guests coming, that is going to be like a huge chunk of savings that will balance it out.
So I guess it's like weighing up all of those elements and then what works best for you.
Okay, last question before we get on to something else is it common for people to have a ring before they propose, or are more people doing it after now?
That's a good one. I would say it's definitely becoming more popular to do that. But it's still a big mix of people that we get coming through our showrooms. But yeah, I mean, again, that's a really great way to have, like if you want to propose with it, just like a stand-in ring, and then you choose your engagement ring together later on. Really great way to make sure that it is something you absolutely love. Cuts out any risk of it not being the right size, not being the design that you feel suits you really well, all that kind of stuff. And it can be really fun to go ring shopping and have or do that process with your partner. So again, it all comes down to personal preference with something like that, but definitely we do get the occasional couple who does that.
I feel like because I know a lot of people will worry about the proposal not being a surprise, like if you've already picked out the ring. So I guess it eliminates that worry altogether if you know that you're going to go and like get a ring after the proposal, like get your like proper ring after the proposal. You're like going to have no idea that the proposal's coming. Whereas even if you kind of, like we were talking about earlier, like give your partner like 3 options or give them a bit of a guideline, then you kind of know it's coming soon. Especially like if you and your partner come in for an appointment at Cullen, you tell him what you want and then like leave it up to him. Like, you know that he's like probably ordering it the next day.
Or very soon.
So like the proposal is going to come in 2 to 3 months. Whereas if you don't have that,
it's like, still a complete surprise. And then you get to pick out the ring afterwards together, which is always fun. Okay, so now we've got some rapid fire questions.
The first one is a long or short engagement?
I don't think I'd want mine too long, but also not too short. So I don't know, like if just like the standard amount of time, which is what, roughly a year and a half or so. I feel like I'd want something similar to that rather than...
I like short engagement.
Let's get it done.
But, just like literally get it over and done with it. Okay, a surprise ring or a pre-picked ring?
Oh, I think I'd have to go pre-picked. Again, just because of my job, I'm like... Of course, I mean, I'd still want them to have an element of their own, input, but I'd kind of maybe pick out like the main things for them so they know where to start. Like things like stone shape and metal color, they're usually the 2 main things, and also like high set or low set. I feel like those 3 things, just because they can really influence how the entire thing looks. So and then the high set and low set thing comes into play with how your wedding band will sit up against the ring.
That's like a really big one, I feel, because it also affects like how it sits on your finger, on the hand, and like how it feels. So I feel like that's a good kind of tip as well in general for people who, like, if you still want the ring to be a surprise, let your partner know those 3 big elements, which that just sets them up for success. So it's like you've got the correct stone shape, you've got the correct metal color, and you've got the correct, like the way it sits on the hand. And then they can kind of put their own personal touch on it. Yeah, I'm pretty much the same. Like, I definitely wouldn't have wanted a full-on surprise ring, but I gave my husband like 3 options. He knew like it was like the Alice, the
Alina,
Emma, or the Alice or Alina. I think I gave him the Alice or the Emma, which are just an emerald solitaire and an oval solitaire,
so similar,
with a hidden halo. Emma has the Emma has the hidden halo. So like very similar, just 2 different stone shapes. And I was like, here you go, like you pick.
Another really great way to keep it a surprise, but still make sure it's going to be something you like wearing. Because at the end of the day, you're the one wearing it.
They are not the person wearing it. You are.
So.
Local or destination wedding?
Ooh. I don't know. If I was to go local, I'd want it on some like really nice winery or something like that. But like, destination wedding would be really cool as well. I mean, I don't think I'd actually go destination when it comes to my time. Just thinking realistically, I mean, it would be really cool to have one, but I don't think I'd actually end up having one.
I feel like you watching your sister like plan hers and seeing like how potentially stressful like over the next year it might get. Like it'll either make it or break it for you.
I think my parents would have a heart attack if I turned around and said, I want a destination wedding too. They'd fall over. Not again.
I'm definitely local.
Yeah.
Like 100%. Planning a local wedding was stressful enough for me.
Mm-hmm.
I just could not fathom trying to do that overseas.
Yeah.
Like, not a chance.
Okay, indoor or outdoor?
Outdoor.
Outdoor.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's just something that I like about the vibe of like an outdoor wedding.
Yeah.
But obviously you run the risk then of the weather.
Yes.
Which is a big
So I think
thing.
that's why I'd probably go indoor.
Yeah.
Because I just want that security of, no matter the weather, it's going to still be okay sort of thing.
Yeah, you don't have to like think of a backup plan that is like,
Yes.
like the plan B is never as good as plan A. Otherwise it would be plan A.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because, it's not just like wet weather. It's like also extreme heat you've got to think of, which is equally as uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So, I think I'd go indoor because of that.
Interesting. A buffet or plated dinner?
Ooh, I do love a buffet. If I was to go buffet, I'd want it to go pretty all out with it.
Yeah.
And do like those big buffets that you do find at like the fancy or hotels. Like that's the vibe. Otherwise, I'd go plated dinner.
Okay, yeah. I think buffet. I think it kind of depends. If the option is like chicken, beef, or buffet, definitely a buffet.
Yes.
But if the choice, I'm getting technical. If the choice is like share plates or a buffet, share plates.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good one.
Which is what we did.
Yeah.
Because it was like the table gets like a mini buffet.
Yeah,
I guess
that's true.
I guess I'm still picking buffet.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think I probably would maybe lean towards buffet because, I like the idea of guests being able to pick what they want as well as how much they want to eat.
Yeah.
And it's always fun having a buffet.
Yeah.
People just...
There's
so much to choose from.
And then at least you know that no one is going to be hungry because they didn't get enough.
Yes, that's true.
In their meal.
Yeah. All right. Wedding planner or no wedding planner? So I feel like with like everything we're talking about in the podcast and stuff, I think I would lean towards maybe a wedding planner if it was in my budget.
Same.
But I don't really know if it would be obviously. I don't have a budget at all right now. I don't even have a husband or a potential person.
I think it would depend on like the vision you have for your wedding. Like if you have an all-out vision for the wedding, then like absolutely wedding planner. But if you're wanting something kind of low-key,
you probably don't need one.
I think you should or would be able to do it like yourself. Not that you need to if you're having a low-key wedding. You can obviously still get a wedding planner. But I think that's like a big factor. What do you want your wedding to look like?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of the Save the Date podcast. We hope you learned something new, and if you're currently planning your wedding, congratulations, good luck, and have fun.
If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you follow or subscribe and leave us a review wherever it is that you're listening.
Make sure to come and connect with us on our socials at the Save the Date podcast and join our Facebook group, the Save the Date community. We will also have our email in the show notes below. So if you have any questions for us, anything, stories that you want us to include in the podcast, then feel free to send them through. But we hope you have a wonderful day or night, and we'll be back with another episode next week. Bye.
Bye.